So imagine your birth chart isn't just some static map of the sky from the moment you were born. What if it's actually an intricate, multi-dimensional system of cosmic locks and keys? You see, to the ancient Vedic sages, the chart was literally a mathematical vault, governed by these incredibly precise Sanskrit sutras. And today, well, we're going to learn exactly how to crack it open using their very own words.
Welcome back, focused learners, to our latest explainer. I'm stepping into the role of your resident Vedic astrology researcher, Sanskrit scholar, and documentarium guide today. We're doing a deep, structured dive directly into the ancient texts of the Brihat Parasara Hora Sastra. Now, while we'll briefly map the mechanics of chapters 29 and 31 just to set our foundation, our absolute main focus today is the profound wisdom of chapter 30. We're decoding Pavapada, Upapada, and those exact mathematical formulas that actually dictate your relationship karma and the sheer quantum of your wealth.
Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with the ancient blueprint, move into decoding Bhavapada, then look at Upapada, the marriage lens. After that, we'll calculate the quantum of wealth, discuss Argala, planetary interventions, and finally, unlocking the verdict. Let's jump right into part 1, the ancient cosmic blueprint. Take a look at this standard nativity chart. This is pulled straight from the historical commentary, calculated for a birth on May 21st, 1944. Now, this isn't just a static square. This is the vital visual framework we're going to use to calculate houses, padas, and planetary placements. Notice how the ascendant, or the lagna, is marked right there at the bottom. Before we can even think about unlocking the deeper mysteries of Chapter 30, we have to recognize that this exact point serves as the ultimate starting block for the mathematical combinations we're about to unravel. Moving on to part 2, decoding the Bhavapada. Okay, we gotta start by defining our core term here. In Sanskrit, pada, which you'll also hear called aruda, essentially translates to the tangible manifestation, the status, or the visible illusion of a specific astrological house, or bhava. Think of it this way. A regular house in your birth chart represents your invisible internal karma, but the pada, that is how that karma physically projects itself into the material world for everyone else to see. Like, you might feel wealthy internally, but your pada dictates how the world actually perceives your status. Getting the hang of this step-by-step calculation is absolutely crucial before we move into Chapter 30. And honestly, it's wonderfully logical. Step 1, identify the ascendant house and find the planet that rules it. Step 2, count the number of signs from the ascendant over to wherever that ruling lord is sitting. Step 3, take that exact number and count that identical distance forward from the lord. Wherever you land, boom, that is your lagna pada. You're basically measuring the distance the ruler traveled and then mirroring it to find where that energy physically crystallizes in your life. Practically speaking, this means the universe isn't just judging your intentions, it's mathematically scripting your reputation. Part 3, Upapada, the marriage lens. All right, now we step directly into Chapter 30, where the great sage Parashara introduces the Upapada. You might sometimes see this referred to in scholarly texts as the Gana Pada. To find it, we have to shift our calculations starting point from the first house over to the second house, the house immediately following the natal ascendant. By applying the exact same mirroring rule we just learned to the second house and its governing lord, we reveal a completely different layer of the cosmic code. This specific mathematical pivot zeroes in on the karma dictating family, progeny, and, very specifically, your spouse. According to verses 1 through 6 of Chapter 30, the Upapada acts as your primary predictive lens for marriage. Philosophically, the second house governs our earliest sustenance, our family bonds, and our foundational wealth. So by mathematically projecting its pada, the ancient sages were showing us that our spouse and progeny are quite literally the physical materialization of our deepest sustaining roots. If benefics, like Jupiter or Venus, are placed here, the text says it confers happiness from progeny and the wife, bringing immense spiritual harmony. But listen, the text is completely uncompromising on the flip side. If there are severe malefic afflictions to the Upapada, it mathematically denotes intense enmity or even the destruction or loss of the spouse. It's a highly, highly sensitive trigger point. So that naturally leads us to a pretty big question. We've unlocked the manifestation of relationship karma, sure, but how does this exact same chapter of the cosmic code determine your precise, quantified financial destiny? That brings us to part 4, number of planets and quantum of wealth. Here we arrive at the absolute heart of Chapter 30, focusing on verse 7, the dawn yoga. Let's look closely at the original Sanskrit instruction, just as a scholar would.
The sutra states, Graha Sankhya Kramaneva. Let's parse that out. Graha means planets, Sankhya refers to the number or the count, and Kramaneva translates to in that exact sequence or proportion. So the simple English meaning is that the quantum of your gains corresponds exactly to the number of planets aspecting or sitting in the 11th house from your Lagnapada. Astrologically speaking, the 11th house from your manifestation point is essentially your cosmic bank account. Philosophically, this verse is asserting that material abundance is not random. It's a quantifiable reward. Now, if you wanted to draw diagram 3 conceptually exactly as outlined in the classical texts, here is the procedure. You isolate the Lagnapada on your chart, trace a direct line to its 11th house, and then meticulously map every single planetary aspect hitting that exact space. The more planetary lines converging there, the higher the multiplier for your wealth. It's really that simple. But it's absolutely crucial to understand that it's not just about the volume of wealth. It's about the nature of how it's acquired. If a benefic planet occupies that 11th space from the Patsapada, the text promises wealth acquired through virtuous, legitimate means. But if a malefic occupies it, the wealth is going to be acquired through questionable, harsh, or corrupt means. If you happen to have both, the text pragmatically notes you'll earn through a mix of both paths. The philosophical takeaway here is super profound. The universe doesn't separate your net worth from your morality. The nature of the planets literally dictates your financial ethics.
Now for Part 5, Argala, Planetary Interventions.
We actually need to pull some context from Chapter 31 to understand what happens when the marriage and wealth promises of Chapter 30 get disrupted. We have to demystify this Sanskrit word argala. Figuratively, it translates to an impediment, a bolt, an obstruction, or a critical planetary intervention. Think of it this way. If your birth chart is a meticulously calibrated machine calculating your Upapada and Thana Yoga, an argala is a wrench thrown straight into the gears. Or, on the flip side, it can be a sudden burst of nitrous oxide that accelerates your gains. It's a highly dynamic, intervening force cast right between planets.
Check out this visual table. It lays out the rules of this cosmic battlefield. An argala is caused when a planet sits in the 4th, 2nd, or 11th house away from another planet. For instance, away from your wealth-giving planets in Chapter 30. But here is where the lock and key system reveals its sheer genius. Each of those interventions has a specific counterblock. A planet in the 10th house obstructs the argala coming from the 4th, the 12th obstructs the 2nd, and the 3rd house obstructs the 11th. It is literally a mathematical tug-of-war across the zodiac, determining whether your wealth and marriage promises can truly manifest.
So, who actually wins this tug-of-war? Well, the text provides clear resolution rules. First, the mathematically stronger planet prevails. Simple enough. Second, if there's a tie in strength, the side with the sheer number of planets wins out. But here is perhaps the absolute most fascinating rule. If you have 3 or more harsh malefic planets sitting in the 3rd house, instead of causing damage, they actually cause a viparita argala, a highly favorable reverse intervention that suddenly brings great success and immense wealth, right out of seemingly negative, aggressive energy. How cool is that?
Finally, Part 6, Unlocking the Cosmic Verdict. When you perfectly calculate your paydas, trace your wealth multipliers, and survive the intense push and pull of the argalas, what's the ultimate result of a perfectly aligned birth chart? Well, the ancient text leaves us with this awe-inspiring promise. If the Aruda Lagna and the Dharmapada are in mutual angles, or in mutual 3rd 11th, or in mutual trines, the native will doubtlessly become a king. Think about that. When the tangible manifestation of yourself, the Aruda Lagna, and the manifestation of your partnerships, the Dharmapada, are in mathematical harmony, it unlocks a destiny of literal royal proportions.
We've explored the structural blueprints of the ancient sages, deeply parsed the Sanskrit to quantify relationship and financial karma in Chapter 30, and mapped the interventions that dictate our ultimate path. It is a brilliantly complex, yet philosophically profound system. So I'll leave you with this thought. Which cosmic locks are standing between you and your destiny? And what hidden mathematical keys are waiting right there in your own chart to open them? Keep learning, keep analyzing, and I'll catch you in the